Un jour différent, la chemise différent, le sujet la même. Took me ages to learn how to say that. Hello. Now look, one of the things we're getting old is you forget what you were going to say, what you meant to say. And when I posted my thoughts on the Kia EV3 a few days ago, I completely forgot to mention something that's glaringly obvious, and that is the way in which this car is being advertised. Now, when you go back to when the Kia e-Niro was first put on the market, they told you it was a 64 kilowatt hour battery car. Yes, there was an option with a smaller battery, but I think the one that most people bought, and I certainly have, is a 64 kilowatt hour version. And it took a little bit of digging to find out that the gross battery size was actually 67.5 kilowatt hours. So your usable battery was 96.8% of the gross battery. Now, with this EV3, they're advertising it as the gross battery size. So they're showing 58.3 for the smaller battery version and 81.4 for the large battery version. And you have to do the opposite. You have to do a bit of digging to find what the usable battery is. And I think, I don't know, you give me your feelings on it, but I think that's a backward step. I mean, you know, when you order a pint of beer, you don't want to be drinking 90% of it. You want a pint, okay? Well, that's my view. But so I just think that's a kind of an interesting observation, which I have made and forgot to mention at the last posting. Now, if you look at the Kia e-Niro, and I think this is true also of the Niro EV, the amount of buffer you've got is 5.2%. So that's the percentage of the total gross battery that's actually buffer. So the difference between the usable and the gross. With the EV3, the smaller version, it's 96%. So it's 4%. So the buffer has been reduced. So, you know, the amount of the battery that's usable is 96% of the gross, not 94.8% of the gross is it in the e-Niro. So I don't know, I guess as time's gone on, they've got more confident of the longevity of the batteries. But as I've pointed out in previous videos, battery degradation and range loss are not the same thing. I mean, as a driver, owner of the car, you're interested in what you experience as the range of the car. And certainly with the e-Niro, 5.5 years on, coming up to 109,000 kilometers, I've not noticed any loss of range on the car. So I guess I'm still using that buffer. So if the buffer is smaller, then the point at which you start to notice the loss of range will probably come sooner. But to all intents and purposes, the car's going to have done 100,000 miles or more before you're going to see that reach that point. Some other interesting observations then, when you start to analyse the difference between the usable battery and the gross battery, is let's look at the EV3 smaller battery. So you've got 56 kilowatt hours of usable. And I know range varies so much on how it's driven, the temperature, you know, all kinds of variables there. But I'm using, in this case, the WLTP official published range for these cars. Now, when the e-Niro came out, the WLTP range for the 64 kilowatt hour battery was 282 miles. I'm going to use miles here because, you know, it's just easier, I guess. And the EV3 smaller battery version is 267 miles WLTP. The battery is 12.5% smaller, but the range is only 5.3% less. So that does indicate there's been some improvement in the efficiency with the EV3. And the official miles per kilowatt hour of the e-Niro was 4.4, and with this small battery version of the EV3 is 4.76. So whether that's due to the fact that the car with a slightly smaller battery is a bit lighter, or they've made savings in other areas, or the whole drivetrain efficiency is better. With the bigger battery version, the 78 kilowatt hour usable capacity of the bigger battery, it's 21.8% bigger than the e-Niro, but its official WLTP range is 33% more. You're talking 375 miles. Okay, so again, it looks like there have been some improvements. But I think the real interesting thing is the way the car's being marketed, and that is that they're selling, trying to sell you the gross battery capacity, when of course that's not what's available to you. Let's be honest here, and I think that's a step backward. But anyway, your opinions on this would be much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the recent new subscribers following the last video. Like, subscribe, all that stuff if you feel thus moved. Until the next time.